and today I'm just going to tell you about my journey learning Spanish, why I decided to go for a double major, some of the benefits of the Spanish program at UNH, and the benefits of choosing a double major too. So to start off, I just want to talk about my background a little bit. So I started learning Spanish in middle school. I went to a really small middle school, and Spanish was mandatory for all students to take. I really liked it. We had a really fun and interesting teacher. We did a lot of cool projects and games and stuff like that. So I decided to take it in high school as well. But by the time I got to high school, it wasn't really my thing anymore, to be honest. I had other interests. I was really into science, and biology and physics and stuff, and Spanish just kind of felt like this chore to me at the time. So I did the requirement to graduate. I just did 2 years in high school, and then by 11th grade, I decided that I would never take another Spanish class again. I was very wrong about that, and I don't even know why I thought that, because Spanish is a great language I came to learn later on. But yeah, so anyway, I graduated in 2020 during the pandemic, and because of the pandemic, classes at UNH at the time were all online. So I decided to take a gap year, so I didn't have to just sit in my dorm all day and do online classes. But I did some cool stuff during my gap year. I ended up working at a fishery in Alaska, this salmon fishery, and believe it or not, this was probably the most influential experience I had in my Spanish learning journey, because this was a very diverse environment where English was not the majority language that was spoken there. There were people from all over the world, like people from Mexico and Guatemala and Puerto Rico and Peru, people from the Philippines and Japan, and just everywhere you could imagine. And so I grew up in rural New Hampshire. I've never had an experience like that before. So being in this environment made me really realize the value of learning a second language. So this was the summer of 2021. I went back to New Hampshire after and did my freshman year at UNH. I was undeclared, but I knew I kind of wanted a business focus. I still wasn't taking any Spanish classes. And at the end of my freshman year, I decided to go back to Alaska again, and that's when this picture's from. This was the summer of 2022. I still talk to these two guys. This is Ronald. He was from Guatemala. He didn't speak any English. He's just Spanish. And then this guy next to me is Ali. And Ali is really interesting because at first I thought he was from South America, because the way he spoke Spanish, he was completely fluent in it. And he would speak to the Guatemalan guys, he would translate for me. He spoke fluent English as well. But I found out that actually he was from Baghdad. He's from the Middle East. He moved to the United States when he was 14 and learned to speak English in high school. And then he joined the Army. He was in the Army for 6 years. Got out of the Army, went to college, got a bachelor's degree in linguistics, and then a master's in Spanish. And I would talk to this guy for hours on end during our unending shifts at this fishery. And he really influenced me when it came to wanting to take a second language. He kind of showed me that it's not about really natural talent when it comes to learning a language. It's about the drive to actually go out and do all the work, do all the practice, and eventually you will become fluent if you just try hard enough, So after this summer in 2022, I went back to UNH for my sophomore year and started taking Spanish classes. They're really difficult. I forgot a lot from high school, but oh, the pizza's here. Eventually, I was doing really well in my Spanish classes, and I was applying to study abroad stuff at UNH. So I declared a double major in the second semester of my sophomore year. I did economics and Spanish. This is a picture of Merkland Hall. This is the language, where the language center is at UNH. It's an amazing building. I love this place. I also have a minor in classics. The classics department is also in this building, so it's probably my favorite building on campus. But anyway, Yeah, so I decided to do the study abroad program this summer in Costa Rica. Now, this program is great. It's one of 3 UNH managed programs for the Spanish major, like study abroad programs. There's Costa Rica, Cuba, and Grenada. But then there's a bunch of other study abroad programs that you could potentially take that just aren't UNH managed programs. They're like other organizations do them, but you can still get credit for them at UNH. So you could go to like Argentina, you could go to Mexico, Puerto Rico, different parts of Spain. But the Costa Rica program is, it's really nice because it's during the summer. So you can take it, it's good for double majors especially because you need to stack up as many credits as you can get really. So it's 6 weeks. It's in this town called San Joaquin de Flores, which is in south central Costa Rica. You live with this Costa Rican family. They make you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They show you around the town. It's a really nice town. There's a lot of stuff to do there. A lot of old historical buildings. There's a church there that was built in like the 1700s or something like that. There's restaurants and shopping centers, and it's a really nice place. And then the school itself, the Institute of San Joaquin, is very thorough in the Spanish classes. It's only 4 days a week, but the classes are pretty long. You get a break in the middle. You get to eat like fresh fruit and stuff like that. And then during the weekends, which are 3-day weekends, I'd say about half of the weekends you're there, you go on field trips all over Costa Rica. So you go to like this place, Manuel Antonio, which is a beautiful town on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. This is where I took all these pictures. This is a monkey that was outside the hotel in Manuel Antonio. And Manuel Antonio is nice. You get to stay at this hotel right on the beach. You can go surfing. You can stay on the beach. You can go paragliding, hiking. There's a national park there where there's all sorts of wildlife. It's a beautiful place to go. I can't recommend this program enough. If you guys have any other questions for me about this Costa Rica program, feel free to ask me after the presentation's over, but I want to move on to some of the benefits of studying a language in college, specifically if you're a double major like me. So I'd say first of all, the obvious answer is that once you graduate, you stand out when it goes to applying for a job. If I applied to an economics job and they saw on my resume that I have a major in Spanish as well, I would just stand out over other candidates. And furthermore, I can apply to a wider variety of positions and career paths. So I don't have to just pick an economics profession. I could choose a Spanish profession or a combination of the two. So that's definitely a bonus. There are some cons to a double major. You have to take more credits, but you don't have to take like double the amount of credits. It's actually not as much as you think, especially when you add in study abroad programs over the summer and January term, things like that. So it's a pretty good deal. And the thing that really motivates me when it comes to learning Spanish is just being able to speak to people in their native language. I've worked with people in the dining halls at UNH from the Dominican Republic, and being able to like talk to them in Spanish is so cool to see their face like light up. It's awesome. And I like to travel a lot too. So, being able to travel to like different parts of South America and get off of the resort, go to places, speak to people in Spanish, make friends, that's really what motivates me. I'm going to Cuba in January for another study abroad program, which I'm very excited about because as an American, it's very hard to go to Cuba. It's hard, you have to get government approval to travel there. So I'm excited for that. I wish that I had gone to Cuba before giving this presentation so I could tell you about it, but I guess if you go to UNH, you'll just have to like figure it out for yourself. So anyway, that's my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
The Cuba program is January term?
January term, that's right.
Something you could do in between semesters?
Yeah, it's 10 days You stay in Havana, you stay with a family. It's similar to Costa Rica, but it's just a lot shorter. There's an online class you do for I think 2 weeks before you actually head out there. And you just learn about Cuban culture, stuff like that. And it's 10 days in Cuba. I think it's January 6th to January 13th. No, that's not 10 days. I forget the exact dates. I just applied to it like a month ago, so I'm excited for it. But yeah, that's a Cuba program. So yeah.
So you mentioned that Cuba was one of the programs, and Costa Rica is another program. And what was there was a third program too, I'm trying to remember. And are these all 6-week programs, or? Oh,
okay. So yeah, the third program is Granada. I think that's southern Spain. That one is a full semester. It's the spring semester. They run it every spring, and I don't remember the exact name of the institute. I've looked into that program before. I haven't applied for it though. So they're all different lengths. Costa Rica is 6 weeks during the summer. It's like late May to early July. And then Cuba is only 10 days. That's definitely the shortest program. So yeah, I was supposed to, I applied to this program to go to Puerto Rico this semester. And I got accepted and everything, but it just didn't work out with classes and stuff like that. But you can do you could go to a bunch of different countries if you go through other organizations. Like UNH has a partnership with the National Student Exchange, so you can go all over the United States, like other universities that participate in the National Student Exchange. And then they also have a partnership with this organization called ASA. I think it's called American Students Abroad. I think that's the name. And they have a bunch of programs for every language, so for like Spanish, they have an Argentina program where you go to Buenos Aires. I've looked into that one. They have a program for Madrid and Barcelona and trying to think of other places. I think there's one in Mexico too, in Guadalajara. There's a university there, I forget the name of it. But yeah, there's a lot of options you can do if you're a Spanish major at UNH. It's pretty good for that, so yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
What would you recommend to high school seniors who are interested in possibly doing a double major or maybe a major with a language minor? Where would they start in terms of study abroad? Would they actually go to their university advisor, or would they go to the world language department? What would they need to do to get the ball rolling on that? That's
a great question. So there is actually you should probably talk to your advisor about it, because they help out a lot as far as like your requirements go for your major. And then there's also an advisor in the languages department named Shaylin Frost, who's very helpful when it comes to figuring out what kind of classes you need to take. She has connections with all the other professors in the departments, so she's very helpful with that sort of thing. So if you're a freshman going into UNH and you're considering a minor, I would definitely talk to the advisor about it and get a head start on it, because if you get a head start on it freshman year, you're going to be ahead of like a lot of the other people in the languages department. I started off pretty late, so it's good. When freshmen are doing study abroad stuff, it's always a good thing.